epigastric vessel. I don't think you have this in your lecture notes. And here's the loop of intestine, and it's going to come straight this direction, but still end up, may or may not come through the superficial. It may just stay in the canal, all right? Or an indirect. Here's the same, here's a loop of intestine, but it's passing lateral to the inferior epigastric vessels and going through the deep inguinal ring. So back to this diagram that you have on page 50 again. It's easier just to draw a line. That's direct. Following the canal itself is indirect. So back to this image, when we look at the content of the spermatic cord. So the spermatic cord is this structure that we find in the inguinal canal and coming down in the scrotum to the testes. Its layers are going to be the same as the scrotal sac. So it's going to have the external spermatic fascia. It's going to have the cremaster muscle. If we open that up, we see the vas deferens, what the sperm is going to travel through to get to the urethra, the testicular artery, the red structure here, and a branching form of the testicular vein. If you identify that as testicular vein, you would only get half credit, all right? That is not wrong. It is the testicular vein, but in this format with all that branching, networking-like structure, it is known as the pampiniform plexus. And that's the answer that I'm looking for. May I erase this picture? You guys okay with that? So, what do you think would be the purpose of having that arrangement of multiple branching vessels? Cool them, all right? So, to cool the blood supply entering the scrotum. The whole reason why we have the testis outside of the body core cavity. If we allowed arterial blood at 98.6, it would be bringing that warm temperature in. So, to illustrate, whales that live in the Arctic Ocean, that's pretty cold water. They live up there because cold water holds more oxygen, and more oxygen means more biomass. So there's a lot of food. But they're warm-blooded animals. Okay, they're mammals. And so the flukes have a lot of surface area, but they still need oxygen. So as arteries carry oxygenated blood out to the fluke, that cold Arctic Ocean is going to conduct away a lot of heat, and the veins are going to have near freezing temperatures as they carry that blood back to the abdominal cavity, and then the whale is going to have to spend even more energy to warm it up. So to prevent that, the whale tail vessels, fluke vessels, have a similar arrangement where the arterial blood going out towards the fluke is surrounded by veins, and there's a countercurrent exchange. And the heat from the arterial blood passes by the cooler venous blood, and the heat is transferred. That cools the arterial blood and warms the venous blood. As the warmer venous blood moves this direction, there's still heat transfer because it's coming in contact with even warmer arterial blood. The arterial blood has been cooled as it moves towards the fluke, but it's coming in contact with even colder venous blood. So there's always a difference when we have that countercurrent flow. So there continues to be an exchange of heat. Same thing is occurring here. So the warm arterial blood flowing to the testis is coming in contact with cooler venous blood, and heat is exchanged. At this point, the arterial blood is pretty warm, but the venous blood has also warmed up. So has also warmed up. So there's still an opportunity for exchange. So that's the purpose for that, is to maintain the cool environment. So the pampiniform plexus arrangement cools the testes. The cremaster muscle pulls the testes closer to the body wall, and the dartos help to elevate the temperature. So there's a relatively well-known episode of Seinfeld, where George is out vacationing in the Hamptons or somewhere, and comes inside and is embarrassed by the appearance of his external anatomy. I don't know what kind of Speedos he's wearing. And he's explaining it away by, well, the water was cold. February or January or whatever, okay? So that would be cremaster muscle reflex in response to that temperature. So this is one of the models, this one that I have up on the table. And so here's a little bit of the cremaster muscle that you can see on the opposite side. This would be piniform plexus surrounding the branches of the testicular artery. They are branches, but they aren't given they're not as highly branched, they're not given separate names. Okay, let's go ahead and take a short break, and then we'll talk about the testing.